Looking at thimbleberries.
Thimbleberries, yeah. Pacific Northwest plant.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm on my video. Where are we right now?
We're at Waverly Beach. It's on the Bad River Reservation, and it's world renowned for the concretions that are found here, which are made of shale, which has been worn in the water. We'll look at some in a little bit. The thimbleberries, yeah, they have an interesting distribution. They're found in the Pacific Northwest, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, that area. And then there's nothing in between till you get to the Lake Superior region, where they're abundant around the lake, but nowhere else.
How did they get over here anyway?
That's the big mystery. It's not only these. There's a lot of other unrelated Pacific Northwest plant species that are found out there, as far as Glacier Park, and then Lake Superior region.
Could it be the topography and climate's similar?
Oh, it's similar, but how did they get here?
Yeah.
Intervening prairies, and alkaline soils. Yeah. But there's things like horsetails and like a New Jersey tea that only grows out there, and then over here. So there's all kinds of odd distribution patterns. So it's a mystery. Yeah, I've investigated it. Nobody really knows why.
This is Avens.
Oh, just Avens.
Avens, yeah.
That's not that Masters plantain master?
Masterwort or?
No.
No.
You're talking about rattlesnake master?
Oh, rattlesnake master. No, these are actually the seeds. Here's another burr. This one's a yellow Avens.
Yellow Avens.
Yellow Avens, yep. And it's a burr. And they like to grow along trails because that's where people pick them off their socks and throw them. It's native, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a pretty plant, yeah.
Lake Superior lowland, because of the poorly drained clay soils, we don't have white ash. We have green ash instead, and it's really hard for most people to tell the difference between white ash and green ash.
This is green ash.
This is green ash. One of the ways is the underside of the leaves is much greener than the white ash, which is a pale color.
We're at Waverly Beach. So Jim, you're not in Rice Lake anymore.
No, this is very different than Rice Lake.
Yeah.
Like a man.
You didn't bring your bait.
Piece of bark.
Looks like a man. Yeah. Yeah, it does. 2 legs, a head, 1 arm.
The body.
Roger's been finding things.
And this one.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Looks like a baby. Head, arm, body. And this is the start of one of the spirit rocks. Right, Mike?
They're called spirit rocks. Yeah, especially the ones that look like people and animals. Some people think there's actual spirits in them, and spirits of ancestors, from what I understand. Look at Sue's a square. A sandstone, yeah. Oh, really? No, I don't feel the sand.
Wait for like next.
This is shale right here. This is shale. This is a mudstone, and the parts of the bedrock were a little bit harder, just a tiny bit harder than other parts. And so as the bedrock got worn down, eroded, the softer parts of the rock got worn away, and the harder parts remained. And so you end up with all these funny shapes. That's the hardest part of the bedrock. And it all has to be a tiny bit more cemented than the rest of it. And so it's a shale, it's a mudstone. Now let me give you a little background here as to what we're seeing. About 8,000 years ago, we would have been standing under several hundred feet of water here. The continental ice sheet had receded, and it was still over at Sault Ste. Marie, blocking the exit to the Atlantic. And so what happened is it's kind of like a bathtub plugging up, the drain plugging up. And so Lake Superior rose higher and higher and higher until it was several hundred feet higher than what it is now. Any place where you have the red clay would have been underwater. The red clay throughout Ashland and Washburn and throughout Lake Superior, the city of Superior, that was all deposited underwater by what was called Glacial Lake Duluth. It was a high stage of Lake Superior. So we would have been under hundreds and hundreds of feet of water here. The fish would have been swimming by us. And once the ice sheet melted away from Sault Ste. Marie, the lake drained out that way. Before that, it had been draining down the Brule and connecting with the St. Croix and creating an interstate park down on the St. Croix with the potholes where the rocks went around and around. Huge amounts of water draining from Lake Superior down that way because the glaciers were melting, and so lots of water. Force of the water was tremendous. what's happened since then
For this,
is that
give it to Jen for her.
well, let me start with the lake itself. So the ice sheets melted back towards the north. They melted first in Wisconsin. When the ice sheets were on Wisconsin, some of the ice was 10,000 feet thick. That's a lot of weight of ice. It pushed the crust of the earth down into the mantle. Kind of like when you step in a boat on a dock, the boat goes down. So that's the weight on the crust. When you take your foot off the boat pops back up in the water, right? It was the same way with Wisconsin. So since 8 to 10,000 years ago, Wisconsin has been rising back up because the weight of the ice is gone. We're still rising. So northern Wisconsin is rising at a rate of about ½ an inch every 10 years. However, on the North Shore in Canada, the ice melted later. So they're still rising at a faster rate. They're rising twice as fast, about an inch every 10 years. So what that's doing is that since they're rising faster than we are, twice as fast, the bottom of the lake is going up like this. Can you see a pan of water? You take it and you start tipping. What's the water going to do? It's going to come down this way. So you've probably noticed this along the whole South Shore Lake Superior. The trees, the shoreline is eroding. The trees are falling down. You often see cliffs, of clay, the trees falling down. That's because the lake is coming closer and closer to the shoreline with every storm and eating away at the shoreline. Nobody's really sure how far the lake will go inland.
So Mike, you're saying we have a problem because of those uppity Canadians?
Well, yeah. You go on the North Shore and they're rising up, so they have the nice rock cliffs and everything there because they're just going up. I wouldn't invest long-term in lakeshore frontage here because it's not going to be around that long geologically.
Think so?
It's just going to keep eroding. The lake is going to come closer and closer and closer because of the tipping.
Is that rise accelerating in the north, or is it
It's slowing down everywhere, but it's
slowing?
they're twice as fast as we are. So it just the tipping keeps happening like this.
So about a ½ inch difference.
Yep, every 10 years they're going up ½ an inch faster than
That's
we are.
enough to all this water to really submerge the shoreline.
Oh yeah, yeah, and especially in the storms is when you notice it the most. Yeah. So that's the red clay. Yeah. So this is the red clay that was left by glacial Lake Duluth when Lake Superior was higher, and the clay was suspended in the water, and some of it slowly settled out. Many feet of clay, and just settled on the bottom. So this is wherever you see this red clay, that was lake bottom. So you would have been underwater at that time.
Pretty.
Almost a rock.
Yeah, and if it
Will
gets
it become a rock?
if it gets compressed eventually, yeah.
Oh, here.
That's what pipestone is out of. So pipestone is the metamorphosed clay, just like this, the red clay. One of the things I forgot to mention in my article about what we're going to see today, this is a great place to find fossils, especially horn corals and things. This is a limestone. There's some flint or chert in there too, which makes it a little harder. But keep your eyes open for these cream to white rocks. Here is a sea lily, a crinoids, a cross-section of a stem in there. It's a fossil. We'll find better fossils, but Roger just picked this up offhand. There's also, you can see this line here. There's a fossil something, and if we took a hammer and split this, you'd see what it is. Possibly a seashell right there. So it's great. You don't find very many fossils in northern Wisconsin. So Lake Superior, back in the early Paleozoic, about 600 million years ago, was a branch of the ocean. And we were down by the equator at that time. So it was kind of like the Bahamas. And so all this limestone ended up on the sea bottom. You find a lot of coral fossils here. It was a warm, clear water ocean, just like the coral reefs we have nowadays. So this would have been the sea bottom at that time. Isn't that nice? Yeah, this is chert or flint, and then the white is the limestone that it was in. So keep your eyes open for those. That's just great. This is the hardest part of the mudstoner. This was the hardest part of the mudstoner shale. And they just come up with these random patterns. They often look biologic. There's some great shapes. We'll find more. There's perfectly round ones and some that look like people and that. But yeah, and a lot of
a lot of people, native people, believe there's spirits in these stones. So it's very
The
important.
nearly roundest one I could find so far.
Oh, so far. There'll be more. We got to get that.
So what do we got here, Mike?
We've got a piece of jasper. It's part of the banded iron formation that you'd see like up northern Minnesota. There'd be bands of the iron that they mine, and this jasper, which has a lot of silica along the line. So that's ancient sea bottom mud that would have been bright red.
Oh, neat.
Mm-hmm.
We got a stone that's perfectly round. Looks like a musket ball.
Yeah, and they come in different sizes. These are the spirit stones.
And why is this? What can you tell me about this?
It's a hardened shale, and it's so uniform that the wave action has made a sphere, a nearly perfect sphere out of it. It's because of the type of rock it is, where it's so uniform like that. Yeah, those round shapes. Because they're
Why
not.
don't they turn it around?
Because their composition isn't uniform. There's different hardnesses and different part of the rock, crystals and different layers of strata here, and so they don't form round shapes. But that shale is so uniform that you just tumble it around and it becomes round.
Oh, okay. Oh, look, Mike's got a bunch. Jim's got a bunch of those.
So let's separate them out. The dark ones are what's called mafic. That's melted ocean crust. So this is what you'd find in Hawaii, the basalt, for instance. And it's got, you can see little crystals in there. That was in the lava. That actually formed in the lava as it cooled differentially. The light-colored ones are in the, well, there's actually limestone down here. That doesn't count. That's sedimentary. But these, this one's a bad example. There's a piece of granite. This is melted continental crust, which is called felsic. And so this is much higher in silica, and the mineral composition is different than the dark-colored ocean crust lavas. So ocean crust, continental crust.
Okay.
And the reason the continents sit higher than the oceans that were land is because the ocean crust, the mafic lava, is denser and heavier. And so it sinks down and makes ocean basins, while the continental crust is more frothy, it's lighter, and it floats on top. So it's like this. This is why the continents stick up above the water. If you drill down deep enough, you get ocean crust under North America, but you have to go pretty deep. The reason we have ocean crust here in the middle of North America is because there was a rift here millions of years ago, split the continent open, and the melted ocean crust came up in between. And otherwise we wouldn't have ocean crust here. And these are all limestones, which is unusual for northern Wisconsin.
They have little things in there.
Yeah, this is where you find the fossils. This looks like it was maybe a fossil here, but worn down. I'm sure we'll find some really good fossils here eventually. Let's see this one. What's all in here? Okay. The part of it is flint or chert, and then the white part is the limestone, which is softer. And so as the rock gets tumbled, the harder parts again are what's left. The part that has a lot of silica, which is glass in it, and then the limestone is softer, it gets worn away, but you still have the white of the limestone around it. So it's all sea bottom sediments. This was tropical sea bottom way back when, about 500-600 million years ago, you know, kind of like in the Bahamas. And that's what Lake Superior was at that time.
And this one,
You've got some real fine-grained sandstone. You can see the sparkles, and it didn't turn around because this layer was harder than the layer above and below it, and those layers got worn away. They weren't just cemented as well. This layer here in the sandstone was cemented better, and so it survived. Eventually it all gets worn down anyway by wave action. It's all temporary. Here you have a combination of things. You have what looks like a shale or mudstone, and maybe grading into a sandstone. It's hard to tell. So, oh, this is nice.
What is that?
It's nice. G-N-E-I-S-S. This is the really highly metamorphosed rock from a mountain, a large mountain. I mean, size of the Alps or the Himalayas. And whatever rock it was, could have been pretty much any kind of rock, got squeezed and heated so much by the mountain building process, by the tectonic process, that the minerals actually float around each other into bands of low and high density. The darker minerals here are the higher density bands. They were on either side of the light colored low density band. And so here you can tell that the high density band was less resistant, which is counterintuitive, but it was, and you ended up with the light colored band of minerals here. So this is from actually a large mountain range Wouldn't have been the Pinocchis, would have been farther north in Canada, so probably a lot older than the Pinocchi range. Here again you have the real fine grained sandstone, and this would have been a piece in the layer that would have been cemented a little bit harder than the rest, and so that's what's left so far.
And why do you call some things concretions?
Concretions are naturally formed shapes to the rock created by weathering.
It's a matter of
Oh, what do you
A
have?
shape, yeah. So.
Oh, she has some interesting things.
Oh,
Look at this.
wow! It's a sandstone. You can feel that. You can feel the fine grit in there. I'm guessing these, just
Looks
guessing
like
now.
sponge.
I'm thinking possibly originally gas bubbles in the sand, or just softer little bits in the sand. It's hard to tell. A geologist probably could tell you more about it, but that's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that around here. All right, this looks like a granite turning into a gneiss. You're starting to get the dark bands, the light bands. So again, from mountain building. Oh, there's a sea lily, cross section of a sea lily stalk.
Oh, let's see.
Just the round, just like we saw in that other one.
The sea lily stuff.
A sea lily or crinoid stalk. Yeah, if you look at it, I can see it. I don't think you can see the little. There's little structures on the side there. It's real small. If we had a magnifying glass, there is a little bit of seashell. You see that right in there?
Mm-hmm.
See the rays of it? A brachiopod, a type of a shell.
You can actually see the stones being raked up on the beach. It's actually, you can see the erosion. You can see
All those concretions form,
yeah, you can see that. Like, it's hard to tap. They got some interesting looking rocks that are formed up here. Concretions, you call them. They almost look like humans, or human form.
Yeah, and that's why they're called spirit stones.
Spirit stones.
Could be a turtle.
Yeah.
Look at it. This is just, again, this will cause Mike. Why did we see this?
This could be some kind of animal, maybe a bear, right? Use your imagination.
But how are these formed?
Oh, this is the hardest part of the mudstone, the shale. So the softer parts have been worn away by the wave action,
Okay.
and the parts that are cemented a little bit harder are what's left.
What you got there?
Some quartzite. So this is metamorphosed sandstone. It's the hardest rock. It's what you see at Pipestone Falls, but not the same formation. It's probably older. But this used to be sand.
What do you got there?
This is hard to tell if it's a quartz or a quartzite. If it's quartz, it was. Yeah, it could have been either one.
This has got sparkles in it.
Oh, this is it's an igneous rock, and igneous, intrusive. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. The crystals show that it was cooled underground.
Intrusive?
Intrusive means it cools underground, intruded into the crust.
Thought I had
So this is a mix of that then.
This is a gneiss again. So this would have been from the mountain range. You would have had the light bands, dark bands, light, dark, and that's because the rock was squeezed together so hard under so much temperature that the minerals, there's light density minerals, heavy density minerals. They actually flow.
No, we won't get into that. Wow, look at that. Look at that. It's a butterfly weed. And this is what do we got?
Pale yellow cone floor.
These are native.
It shows
Yeah.
Eventually it creeps its way up.
Look, this is interesting.
Yeah, this is an art that among the Ojibwe people is not very well known anymore. So it's almost a lost art among the Ojibwe people.
Okay. Should have brought Dennis with us.
Yeah. How did you learn it?
Huh?
How did you learn how to do this?
One of my elders from LCO taught me how to.
Okay.
No, my grandfather's from LCO.
Oh, who's your grandfather? Just say it, shout out.
Ike Goki.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
This is the LCO Old College Tour here. So,
Hey family.
whoever you are, go Geese.
Gokis everywhere.